What up, sluts? Welcome to another episode of Bunny and the Beast. Again, it is me, the mess, the myth, the legend, the Beast, and I'm joined by my beautiful grandmother, Bunny Galore.
Hello, darlings. Bunny Galore here, the queen of the cult movies. I am here with the illegitimate child I never wanted, the Beast himself.
That no one ever wanted, actually. I'm just a plague on people's lives now, it seems.
Well, if you're the plague, I don't want the cure, darlings.
Honey, you're the locusts.
I am biblical. Yeah. I remember the old plague in 1666. I remember that. I'm that old, darlings. Oh, how are you, darling? It's been a bit of a stressful day. So we're recording this, ladies and gentlemen, on, and everybody in between, on the day of the train strikes. We're just before Eurovision. So this episode will go out. You'll be hearing this on Thursday, but after which you'll know who's won Eurovision. But it's one of those crazy days, and you've been running around as well today, haven't you, darling?
Yes, I've been doing some filming all the way in
Yeah.
North London, and then I basically got a taxi to the station, and then the guy dropped us off, and we're like, the trains are stuck, and he was like, oh well, good luck. So I had to get a taxi. This man turns up and it's like, you need a cab? We're like, oh yeah, we need a cab. Like me and two other actors. And we're like, how much to this place? It's like, oh, £30. I'm like, God. But fine, there's a car here. We didn't realize until we got out, there was no licensing on this cab. Like, you know how they usually have like the Uber and the Bolt or this, that sort of sticker.
Ooh.
We just got in some random man's car.
Not for the first time, I'm sure.
No. But that's beside the point. Two homosexuals and a straight man. We were safe. We had a straight man in the front. So if anything did go awry.
I was like a straight man in the front, funny enough.
Oh, that's what I heard about you on the bathroom stall.
It's true. It's really true.
Facts are facts.
I've got the worst reputation for with straight guys, funny enough. I think all my friends think I'm like, not I ever set out to convert anybody because I find that's a little bit gauche. But for some reason, I do seem to be like a Playmobil for like sexual experimentation. I think I just so trust people, like trust me with secrets and trust me.
A Playmobil or a Zimmer frame? Let's be real.
Bad puppy, don't say that again.
Bad the Beast. Naughty. But before we do start today's episode, we have a few shout outs too, don't we?
Do we?
Yes. Well, our inaugural episode, I'm still very pleased about that word, that I have that in my wheelhouse. I'm going to throw that out at any opportunity.
Super proud.
Was top 15 of comedy podcasts.
Yes.
Top 15 of comedy podcasts in Luxembourg.
I love that.
Thank you, Luxembourg.
Hello, Luxembourg. We love you.
I mean, there's probably 15 people in the entire country, but if they're all listening, it's a massive compliment.
Exactly. I was so shocked by that because obviously when you're in the comedy department of a podcast, there's about 7,000 in the UK at least. And most of my friends do them. However, I don't expect to be in a top 10, especially straight away.
Listeners, if you did hear that siren, they are coming for Bunny.
That's true. But to be top 15 in Luxembourg, I still don't know how.
Of all the places in the world.
Is that special adult film that you did back in 1977 being released in Luxembourg or something?
We're not talking about that. This is not the moment. That's what I was filming today.
Oh, don't think for a second. I think you were doing anything serious. Jumping out of a cake in a pair of Speedos. That's all that was, wasn't it?
That's just a Wednesday. That's just standard behavior.
Oh, actually, talking of shout-outs, we should mention, because it's coming up pretty soon, you are returning to La Stage fairly soon, aren't you?
I am. I was going to plug this at the end, but we can plug it at the beginning and the end. So, listeners, if you do live in London or nearby, I'm doing a play called Game Night at Wonderville in Piccadilly Circus. It's a very, 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 very funny play, if I say so myself. I might not be very funny, but that's the right.
I've seen the play in the last incarnation of it. There's been quite a few, haven't there? I didn't realise that there's quite a few versions.
This is my 4th time doing it.
Did you do it? It must have come from Edinburgh originally, I guess.
No, they did it pre-pandemic.
Right.
Then they were rehearsed with a different cast.
Mm-hmm.
Then they did it just about pandemic starting
Right.
with a different cast.
Okay.
And then they found me well over a year ago.
Found you.
Well,
Say found.
well, they found me because this is actually one of the good things my ex-boyfriend actually ever did.
Right.
Apologies if he's listening. I doubt that. But one of my cast members was working for him because he was a manager at a cinema. And they were like, oh, your boyfriend's an actor. Does he want to do this play?
Mm-hmm.
And he basically worked like the agent and was like, and then I got it.
Well, that's great.
So I did it in Islington twice, Edinburgh once, Wonderville once, and now, yes, a fifth time.
So this would be at Wonderville this time?
Yeah, Wonderville.
Which is the same venue? Is it the old
Planet
Hollywood?
Yeah.
Yeah, Planet Hollywood, isn't it? It was the weirdest experience sitting in there watching a show, because I remember the last time I was there was Pride 2019, having lunch with like some out of town friends. It was this is so strange about this now. I guess it's a permanent fringe theatre.
Yeah, they do a lot of
one.
They do a lot of cabaret stuff, and they do like host it out. I think that not the Hen and Chickens, Above the Stag, and now doing a lot of their stuff while they look for their new venue. They've got a Eurovision show on at the moment.
Yes.
I've not seen it personally.
No. Tell the listeners what you wear as well in the show, just to kind of get those ticket sales going.
I think you have to wear something in order to say what you're wearing.
It's not a lot, is it?
No, it isn't. It isn't.
It's the sort of thing that keeps mosquitoes out of like doorways in hot countries. It's mesh. It's a lot of mesh, isn't it? Really?
It's a lot of mesh. But hey, I'm playing a himbo. It's a huge stretch for me. It's like it really pulls on every tether of my acting being to play that successfissually. And it's kind of up to your opinion if I do it successfully or not.
There we go. So is it every Tuesday?
Wednesday and Thursday, from I think the 7th of June to the 13th of July.
Ooh, that's soon then, isn't it? What am I up to? I'm doing, in fact, when this goes out, I've got the West End Flea Market, which is in Covent Garden. I'm doing an appearance there with some other guys from Dame Nation, and that'll be fun. Pray for good weather, because nothing I wear ever is particularly outdoors friendly. And expensive. So let's hope it doesn't rain.
Exactly, but the weather's been horrendous.
I know. Oh, it's driving me insane. It's literally flipping every 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
The coronation.
Usually don't mind that.
Flipping every 5 minutes.
Pancakes.
Pancakes. That's right.
Filth. The 69 in our email is not what you think it is.
Rude. He's actually saying it's my age. That's what he's trying to. And he's
no, actually, I was about to say it's about the men you've courted this week, but
I wish. I wish. I don't have the success rate that you do, Beast.
We're not talking about my success rate right now. Veto.
I did. Yeah.
The success rate. I talk like I'm Samantha, but I'm actually very Charlotte.
You so are Charlotte. Yes.
Well, actually, am I? I think I.
Yeah, you.
Is it me?
Charlotte's pretty dirty still.
Oh, okay, that works.
Yeah, but she's in a hopeless romantic way. But she's
I'm a bit of a hopeless romantic.
Because you look at these early seasons, but, right? I forgot to say the whole point this whole podcast started is because. Do you want to tell them or shall I?
That I've never seen Sex and the City.
The TV show.
The TV show. I've seen the movies.
So I find that that stopped me in my tracks so much.
Slap me on the wrist.
Yeah. Only well, like any, and it's like watching the Absolutely Fabulous movie without seeing the TV show. It's a bit like that's such a strange way. Obviously, Sex and the City, the first film, and I secretly love the second film. I don't care what anybody says.
Oh, I love it. I love it when Carrie flashes a bit of an ankle.
Exactly. It's
stop traffic.
Exactly. But it's so strange to come to it at that point rather than seeing the whole series, because you just take it for granted. But it has been some time now that people would have automatically know what the TV show was, but not necessarily now, because it's 25 years, probably 20 odd years.
And I imagine it's one of those series that probably hasn't aged very well. Similar to like if you look back on Friends with the 2023 vision, you go, okay, at the time, it's a product of its time.
Yeah, well, it is. It's a snapshot of the time. And it's more to do with, it's not so much the characters, it's just more to do with, it's very easy to forget how privileged we are in 2023, just in the vocabulary we're using, just in the attitudes of people. That really wasn't happening in the 90s.
Oh, without a doubt.
In general, it's like I think everyone just forgets that every day. Let alone if you want to go back to the 80s. Let alone if you want to go back to the 60s and 70s, like attitude-wise. If you want to be really shocked, go watch Love Thy Neighbor. If you want to be really shocked, go and see any sitcom from the 70s on ITV. I won't use the W word, but people would burst into flames if they knew what we had to put up with every day in that era. Just the homophobia, racism on a daily joke level. It's so. I think the things in Sex and the City is like, it's really not that much big a deal. But that's me saying that. That's my attitude.
Yeah.
With it, because to me, that's nothing compared to what we had to put up with before. Doesn't mean it's right.
It's not right, but it's okay.
It's true. So
Thank you, Whitney.
So I'm gonna tie James down and force him to watch Sex and the City.
What?
This is gonna
help.
This is gonna be live streamed, obviously, and the pay-per-view. There we go. So there we go. We've got lots of fun things coming up soon, I think, and hopefully, fingers crossed, the weather calms down. But I'm very excited to go and see the show again.
Oh, well, book your tickets.
I will do, yes.
Yes.
Now, I will give the listeners a little bit of a heads up that if you sit in the first 2 rows,
you get soaked.
You get very wet, and I'm not talking.
Maybe not in the fun way. Well, actually, depending what you're into, there was literally one performance last time when there is a moment when things get a bit revealing. And an audience, after a bit of drinks and they're a bit of free flowing, and they're like, "Ooh, something happens." Not gonna say what. I spread, and the moment happened, and from the audience, someone went, "Ooh, papi," and I'm the worst for corpsing.
I'm not surprised.
Someone can look at me in the eye differently, and I will laugh. I cannot hold it together on stage. I am horrendous for it. So that broke me. Especially at a moment where you have to kind of stay still and stay in the moment. Like it's that ba-bumch moment like it would be in Friends.
Yes. It is very sitcom-y. It's written very like a sitcom, and I think that's great. So in some ways you can it's still stage, but then you've got it goes at quite a rate, that play, doesn't it?
It literally, once you're on it, you don't stop.
No.
And well, that sounds like Saturday. But my friend Adam wrote it, and he is actually, if he does ever listen to this, because he'll have this on record forever, he is actually quite a good writer and quite a good director.
Yeah.
He's actually quite funny, which is a compliment for him. Which is a compliment.
Shots fired.
I know.
No, he is really. I hadn't realised he wrote it. Obviously, I saw him in it, but I didn't realise he had written it. And directed it.
Wrote, directed, and starred.
Oh, well, there we go.
The only way to work it as an actor now.
Well, look at us sitting here doing a podcast together. That's kind of what we're doing.
Literally. More gays and more podcasts.
Well, I'm a great believer, don't sit around and wait for the phone to ring. That wasn't the fashion really back in the 90s to do that. But I was like, no, you've got to create, you've got to make, you've got to... I was having this lovely conversation with a company manager, Clive Chenery, last night. My friend Harriet Thorpe's just had her first episode on EastEnders. Amazing.
Congrats, Harriet.
Fantastic. Amazing. It was an incredible first episode. Anyway, talking to Clive, and he said one of the best things I've always loved, he's seen a lot of my work over the years, was Pantry Manor, which was an online soap opera sketch that I used to do 2008 to 2011, when it was just me and a load of cat videos on YouTube. But it had come out my Edinburgh Fringe show, and that's probably, and it goes out in America still, but on this like a little channel out there. But that's one of the things I'm best remembered for, more than the horror stuff, more than anything else. And it's probably the thing I'm most proud of, to have an ensemble cast like that, making, silly TV, sketchy TV. In the days when you didn't do that on YouTube, there wasn't any of that. It was just literally me and a few.
You were the OG of that form.
Yeah.
And now everybody does it.
And now everybody does. Yeah, by the time I came back to YouTube, 2012, I think, it suddenly... everybody was using it as a TV channel. Oh, damn it. I should never have left. But it's a lot of work. But I always say, if you feel like you can't move your career forward, get out there, write something, write a one-man show, write stand-up comedy, Anything you can have. There's no excuse nowadays.
No,
With
we all have a
TikTok.
phone. The cameras are so
Oh,
good
my
now.
word.
You can't. It's just fine for me, like, because I want to segue into other things. It's like finding that person to like hold the camera for you, and that's the hardest thing these days.
Oh, well, ring lights really helped as well, hasn't it? Like,
Oh,
at least I used to
Love a
film
ring.
everything.
Love it.
He does indeed. And if you believe he's a top, then it's nearly Christmas. It's
On planet Zork. Hey,
certain days of the week.
I'm a free believer on free movement of things. Whatever happens, happens.
That's a very subtle way of saying your verse.
Yes.
Okay.
Some people will be listening to this like, bullshit, Vivian, bullshit. But hey ho. Mum, I'm sorry.
Mum, listen to this. You haven't told me that.
No, actually, my younger sister listened to it, and my younger sister is so blunt. She's going to listen to this next week. She's like, James, you read me for filth. My younger sister is so blunt that she told me growing up, being like, oh, it's a shame you don't look in real life like you do in your pictures.
I'm doing a shocked expression if anyone's listening.
But she,
you do though. You do
No.
look like that.
no, it's a long running family joke.
Right.
But
I mean, you look a lot more innocent in the photograph seen that way. It's probably not right, is it?
Yeah. But I was like, she sent me a little screenshot. She's watching our YouTube version. For those that are listening, we do it on YouTube as well.
You can watch us too.
If you haven't watched us on YouTube, we may or may not have clothing on. If that gets some views, that might work.
Don't worry, I have. That will stop people listening.
But she said, I was like, oh, are you enjoying it? She went, yeah, it's funny. Full stop.
No.
That is high praise from my sister.
Wow.
My sister is blunt to the point. And actually, someone in the Two Brewers came up to me. For those that don't know, the Two Brewers is a
Classy wine bar in south of London.
Oh, it's the best. It only houses the best clientele in town.
I've been there 4 times in the last month. I don't know who I murdered in a past life to deserve that, but
Who did you anoint? Who did you praise?
And
I
do
love the Brewers.
I love the venue, obviously. It's just sometimes the people can be a little bit feral on a Saturday night, especially these bank holiday weekends.
Absolutely.
Ooh.
And someone came up to me and went, oh, I've listened to your podcast. Someone I don't know, and I don't think Bunny knows either. No idea who they were. Went, your podcast is quite funny. And I went, quite. So slight compliments like backhand.
Thank you. Quite funny.
But then again, I'm not a comedian. Well, I say I'm not a comedian.
Oh,
I'm just a joke in life.
No, you are funny in that kind of Jade Goody kind of way, but
Dead.
I meant unintentionally, but well, you know, if we can use your words.
Okay. Oh, wow.
So,
But other things that come out the woodwork as well.
right.
So, Bunny and the Beast.
Mhm.
My original interpretation of the Beast was that. So I have this group of friends that.
Where the name came from.
Where the name came
Mm.
from, and producer, camera to me, please. Camera to me, please.
Oh, so sorry.
That's all right. That's okay. That's fine. So, the Beast originally, I thought, came from two very special two people that I love very much in my life from that we call the House of Mess.
Oh.
The House of Mess includes Owen Mallon
Mhm.
as Mother of Mess, obviously.
Most maternal person I know. On
I
this
know.
planet, but sure.
Yes.
Which terrifies me that he becomes the mother in this.
Yes, she's Mother of
Absolute
Mess. Ranj Singh
Right.
as Mess Incarnate. And then I became Meat. So we all had M. But then Ranj and Owen were always like, you're such a beast. Like, feeding you is a full-time job. So I thought it became from there. But then after the first episode, one of my best girlfriends from school, Jess, shout out if you're listening, she's like a Luna Lovegood / Jess from, what is it called? New Girl.
Right.
Beautiful, ditzy as hell.
Okay.
And she'll know that. Was like, Don't talk like we don't call you the beast because you fall over and you walk into things. It's actually because if we leave something on our plate, you've already scooped in like a vulture and had it. Like an
Oh, hold on. Now, I think you've done that the wrong way around. Do you mean Owen and Ranj call you beast because of being
because House of Mess being meat, and then Ranj and Owen became from walking into things and just being clumsy.
So they say walking
yes.
into things. And the other friend
was like, no, it's because of how much you eat.
How much you eat.
Yes. And then,
yeah.
And then my older sister, because I have two sisters, went, I thought you were called the beast because we called you the beast because of how hairy you were. And from our photo, you can't tell. I shave it all off nowadays because body temperature, heat. I'm like a human radiator. It just radiates off me. It's awful. Me too. So a lot of groups have been like, call me the beast.
Claiming the name for themselves. Saying, well, we called it because you actually, you live ferally in the forest for 3 years, but we knew you.
Because you were raised by wolves.
There's only one explanation.
So everyone has their own interpretation.
There we go.
Yeah. So many versions, many stories.
It's funny, isn't it? You came to me with that already in place as the beast as a nickname. I don't actually see you as a beast.
As the beast.
Or the beast. I don't see you as a beast or the beast. I see you as Bad Puppy. That's what we're going to call you from now on. Bad Puppy.
Bad Puppy.
Yes. And
that goes well because Murray Lane always says, you're just a chocolate Labrador in human form.
Oh, yes, you are. Yes, you are. You are definitely a chocolate Labrador. I must put some papers down actually on the floor.
Please don't.
Just to kind of make sure there's no mess. Well, anyway, so nickname. I've never really had a nickname. Isn't that strange? I suppose because I have an alter ego of Bunny Globe for 84 years. Don't say anything.
I'm not saying anything.
That it's never needed to have a nickname. And I think, anyway, my real name, Martin, doesn't really rhyme a lot with anything exciting.
And you're not a Marty.
No, and I'm not me. I'm not Maraschino from Greece. And
I was thinking Marty McFly, but yes, then I went, Marty from Greece. Yeah.
But in the pandemic, I got called, because we used to do a Zoom group out of my friends with GW and Aidan and Brinch and Fozzie.
Yeah.
And they started calling me Margot, as in the Good Life Margot, because GW being who's the husband? Margot's husband in the Good Life, and which has gone out of my head right now. And I was Margot, and I went, that's so weird you say. That's a huge compliment. I love Penelope Keith. I love that show, especially the sequel, to the Manor Born. But a lot of Naughty's Bunny, as in the years, Naughty's not Naughty.
Naughty Bunny.
Naughty Bunny was like, that's a different service.
You think I'm a bad bunny?
Was all Kaftani, and when I did Edinburgh, it was all like 70s Kaftani housewife, and that was based on Margot from The Good Life. So weirdly, it's like come full circle. So I'm claiming the name now. So I love Margot. That's a great name.
Is it bad that I don't know what this is?
It's a BBC sitcom from the 1970s. Jerry's the husband. And it has Penelope Keith, Felicity Kendall, Richard Bryars, and I can't remember who plays Jerry now. All went on to get their own shows afterwards. It's probably next to Fawlty Towers, it's one of the biggest UK sitcoms of all time.
I love Fawlty Towers. Love that. Again, not aged well. Not at all.
No, probably haven't. No, again, I think the 70s. But I don't know if The Good Life gets repeated quite as much now, because it's like a couple drop out of the system and start growing their own food, basically.
Okay.
And the next door neighbors are posh next door neighbors, so it's and hilarity ensues with them trying to turn the garden into an allotment, basically.
Yeah.
It's kind of what would happen now quite easily. It's quite strange. I think maybe that's probably why it doesn't get repeated, because it's not such a edgy thing to do as it was back in 1976.
It's a bit more everyday life.
Yes, exactly. It's actually very, very well. But a great comedy. Have a little Google, The Good Life.
And talking of great comedy, our lives, if you can call it that, today's kind of theme, which we probably are going to go into a lot more detail on, is embarrassing stories.
Yes.
That we have. I personally, I have loads. I have far too many to name. But it took me from being in my mid 20s to like own my embarrassing stories.
Sure.
And not see them as like something that was like shameful or obviously they're embarrassing, but seeing the humor in them.
Yes.
I mean, there's so many to name, but
okay. So I think embarrassing stories is, I think, delicious. Obviously, very delicious.
Yeah.
But it's very hard to tell your own, I think. You're right. To own them is quite hard. I think I probably have a few, but most of them I keep on thinking about going, oh, well, they're not funny. I mean, the last 48 hours of my life is a car crash.
The last 29 years of mine is one.
It's true.
That's where you say, no, Beast.
And sorry.
Your life is perfect.
Whoops, silly.
Lies, Nelly, lies.
Yes, that's not me knowing my lines there. I'm so sorry. Yes, of course. Beast, your life has been perfect, and you are perfect in every way. Looks at hand to look at writing. Yes. So I was trying to think of ones myself. I remember I was in the yard and with some friends. We might have been slightly inebriated.
I love the yard.
I like the yard.
Completely straight bar now, but is it? I think it's so straight. Not that I have a thing with straight people, but they terrify me.
Well, it depends what type. I was having this conversation this morning, so I ended up at Freedom last night, and Freedom gets straight as you go through the week, doesn't it, really?
Yeah.
And I love Freedom, but again, it's the clientele can be a bit hit and miss sometimes. And that's predominantly because of how the ratio of heterosexuality that's going on and ego, I guess.
Yeah.
And aggression. But so I was in the yard, out in the courtyard, and I flung dramatically this coat I was wearing over the back of my chair. And we were going, after about 5 minutes, what's that smell? That's really pungent. What the hell is that? My coat has landed on one of the spotlights in the shrubbery. By the way, how dangerous is this? And it was on fire.
What?
It literally had scorched, and it was like it was a winter coat, so it was quite like a what's that tooth called? Anyway, like
dog tooth.
Dog tooth. That's it. Yeah, tooth and claw. That's
Tooth and claw.
That's the Doctor Who episode. And it was full on scorch and just literally about to go woof. So thankfully I caught it. But
is it salvaged?
No, because I had to throw it away. I had to throw it away that night. So there's me just like, in a bikini and heels. For the rest of the evening.
Oh, look what happened by accident. I wouldn't say, I'd say that's more like an unfortunate circumstance.
Yeah, exactly.
Rather than like.
Well, it was obviously embarrassing in front of the entire garden of the yard.
Yes, but like I set myself on fire.
It wasn't like, that's what I mean. I don't really. Okay, you go with your next one. I have one sexy story.
Well, when you're talking about, you go with your story, because I think we're just going to reel mine off in a very quick.
Well, I don't think I've ever told this publicly in any interviews.
Oh my God, I can't wait.
But so I was having sex with somebody in my flat in Britain.
Were they lost? I'm kidding. Nana, I'm kidding.
Don't touch me. No, yeah, I know it's hard to believe. Well, I mean, I was having sex with somebody in Brick Lane was the end of the sentence, when the flat there, not the street, the flat that I used to live there. City banker, I say that very carefully. I am on top, obviously because I'm at top. And but
for those listening, now you know.
Yeah, now I know. Yeah. Well, I was going to try and be versed in 2023, but it's maybe I'm just getting lazier. I don't know.
It's a lot of effort.
But maybe I think our producer sang is just it's kind of. I think we've slightly shocked him now. I might have to buy him a cake afterwards to calm him down.
We have to give him 12 Hail Marys or something.
Exactly. So it's kind of I was on top, doggy stuff, and the trouble with my bed was quite obviously not my own bed. It was kind of rented things back in the days before I owned a flat, and it was really bouncy. So we were going at it a little bit too much. And what happens when you bounce on a trampoline? Boing! I literally fell off him, landed on the floor, laughing so loudly. My flatmate banged on the door and went, "Are you okay?" And I was going, "Do not come in," because that was full on, like naked, legs akimbo. City banker. I think he was straight. Was on the. Was on the.
If it's on brand, then yes, he was straight.
Exactly.
Not in that moment, he wasn't.
No, he wasn't at that moment. But, when I say straight.
I've done some very gay things in my life, and nothing gayer than having sex with a man, though.
I've heard tell. Yes, it's been done. It's been a while.
So
yeah, top that. Yeah, I know. I know you can't top anything.
I could try. Don't tell me I haven't tried. I've done successfully. Sorry, Mum, sisters, brother. Nana, may she rest in peace.
I think they might know you're gay, darling, by now.
I mean, the signs are there. The signs really are there. And when I retell some of these stories, it's like, oh my days, the signs were so there. So why was it a shock? So where do we begin? My whole life is an embarrassing story. So are you ready?
I'm really scared. I'm scared to take a mouthful in case of tea for anyone.
But I'm going to ask you again.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I am ready.
You said that with some determination.
I'm ready.
Okay, whenever you're ready.
To quote Kitty Scott Claus.
It's not quoting Kitty Scott Claus. It's quoting Cheryl Cole and Tracy Cohen.
Yeah.
Know your references. It was a dark winter's day. The day was the 29th of December, the year 1993.
Mm-hmm.
I was born.
Oh,
there we go. That's where it all kicked off.
You know what? I was starting drama school at that point, and I thought I felt a tremor in the force.
Like, oh no, a new mess has been born.
What's that? Why are the skies? What is that blood moon above us? Why are the crows flying in formation?
Well, starting as a child, I used to love now. Yeah. I mean, I didn't do this lot of behavior, until last night. I was one of those really weird kids who loved fantasy and loved female characters and this, that, and the other. And so when kids play on the playground and they're like playing rugby and football, I'm over there playing the X-Men by myself. I'm there being like,
I was playing Wonder Woman 1978 with a black jumper around my head. I think, by the way, I didn't realize every gay kid does it, put a jumper out over their head to be a wig until a few weeks ago. I went, I think it's just me. But no. Apparently,
there was me by myself in the playground being like, I am Storm. I summon the power of lightning. And I was like, what are you doing? Absolute weirdo. But I used to dress up when I was a child.
How old were you at this point?
15. I used to dress up I used to wear tights on my head thinking I was Pocahontas, and used to make my mum braid the tights because there's a scene in the film where she braids it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to reel these off very quickly.
I could talk about this for hours. Yeah.
Literally, there's how long's a piece of string? Like, one time my auntie found me in the dining room just sitting there by myself. And this was the year Mulan came out. And she's like, James, what are you doing? I was like, oh, I'm just praying to my ancestors.
Wow. Okay. That is brilliant. Oh my goodness.
Just praying to my ancestors. No idea who they were. And still don't.
I think I remember this. We've both seen Rob Madge's show, haven't we?
Yes, it's so good. They are brilliant.
Yeah. They would have a lot of imagination, and I really relate to them.
Would make their house Disneyland.
Yeah, and I probably didn't do Disneyland, but I remember, asking my sort of parents for a witch costume because I love Wizard of Oz at that point. And there's these, and I went to a fancy dress competition in a full witch mask, full witch outfit they made for me. I still remember collecting the stick and the twigs to make the broom. It's so weird, isn't it? I can't remember last Tuesday. I can remember that from 1970. I don't know what year that was, 75, 76. Isn't that crazy?
Insert age joke here. I can't think of one right now. One story my sister loves to tell is that my favorite fancy dress outfit was a pair of tights on my head.
Mm-hmm.
I used to wear my grandma's slip and my grandma's slippers. And for some reason, I thought this was decent attire to leave the house.
Yeah,
And
that's the thing, isn't it? Because innocently, we think it's fine to leave the house like that. He says,
But-
photograph me in the
yes,
behind me.
you think it's fine to leave the house like that, but
Mm.
I left the house, went all the way down to school sports day where my sister was, and then was like, Emma, is that your brother? And she's like, James, what are you doing? Get in the house, you embarrassment.
Yes. Isn't that interesting? We're not taught shame. We sorry, that's wrong. We don't know shame. We're taught it.
Yes.
Because we're told that's shameful.
Yes.
Isn't it strange?
Yeah.
So many experiences like that as well. Did exactly the same thing. That down to the end of the street, there was like a canal near me, and I used to go down there dressed like my mother. I mean, I don't think a strong mother makes you gay. I do think a strong mother makes you a drag queen, because she had furs.
Because they are all drag queens.
Yeah, exactly.
Drag queens.
She had hair pieces and wigs and furs and sort of 70s ball gowny type of things. She used to go to all these balls.
Was your mum share?
Yes, very much so. They're very glamorous and stuff. It still is. But they used to go to the golf club a lot and go to different occasions, a lot of occasions. So I had a lot of stuff to play with, basically.
And flash forward to being 9 years old, the time I set myself on fire.
Okay,
these are all listeners,
talk me through.
viewers. These are all very true stories. I would not lie to you, not for the sake of a story. I'm not an embellisher because my life is already horrific enough.
Why lie?
Yeah, literally.
Why lie?
Why lie?
Right.
So we had a power cut in my house, but still 9 years old. So I had homework, and I was doing homework, and I was doing it by candlelight like a Victorian child. You must know what that was like.
Yes. Yes, I do.
So, and here I am thinking, I was really into science at that point. I was like, I'm going to do a little experiment and see how fast, what's the rate of paper burning? What do different types of paper burn like?
Yeah.
Regular paper, not that much.
Mm-hmm.
A fistful of toilet roll goes up like a mother.
Quickly,
goes pretty quickly, and I ran from one end of the house. It happened in my hand, and I panicked, and I ran from one end of the house all the way to the other because to throw it in the sink, thinking water. While I ran, it literally scorched my entire hand. My hand is still scarred. My thumb is still scarred from it. And all I had was my older sister being on the phone to her friend, being like, James, you idiot. And I'm there like, I'm on fire. But my mum was like, why didn't you throw it on the floor? We had laminate flooring. But I was like,
no, you don't think like that, do you?
At 9 years old, I was like, oh, but I didn't want to burn the house down.
Yeah.
And my dad still told this in assemblies. My dad was a headmaster. And so that's own kettle of fish.
That's what you didn't lead with when we went into embarrassing stories?
No.
Of like the pressure of that?
We're working through this.
Oh, okay.
No, there's not actually that much to it. We'll talk about it in another episode.
Okay,
sure. Because that's not embarrassing. That's just life and circumstance.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying it's embarrassing, but it's not exactly,
My mum worked there too. My mum was head of exams.
Okay, right. This is where I dose Beast up with some tablets, and we return to the episode another time.
No, we're absolutely fine. We're not going to cry just yet.
Look, if it makes you feel better, I did exactly the same thing, but I didn't burn myself. So I love Doctor Who. I used to make like sets and things like that, like the TARDIS console and things. And make a model, and then trying to learn about special effects and things like that, and set fire to it in my bedroom.
How?
But with matches, I would imagine.
Oh,
like not what you should be doing. Thankfully, and it did start to go a bit too much. And thankfully, my bedroom was next to a bathroom, so I could take it in there. My father was so cool with it. He was like, "No, look, if you're going to do this, you do it on a board, like a flame retardant board, which you seem to have, which is probably sort of like probably quite caustic material.
Yeah, very that
probably now, but." And do it on that, or do it out in the garage or something like that, rather than the house. He was so cool about it, which most parents would be very, very cross about. Maybe hadn't realised quite how much it nearly went up. So yeah, I did exactly the same, but didn't burn myself, thankfully. But I did nearly burn the house down.
Yeah. Where do I go from here?
Yeah, where'd you go?
So we're at 9 years old. We have two more stories. One's very quick, one's a bit long.
Mhm.
So the last one's the best one.
Okay.
Because it is literally how are you still alive. The next one, everyone has those moments when we trip and fall, this, that, and the other. I was in a show, I was 18, 19, and we were doing like little segments of musicals, and we were doing a little section from the Book of Mormon musical, and we were doing bits where we find our buddy and we're going to go off on our adventures and make everyone Mormons. So happens the night that my mum's watching, my best friend's watching, and the night we film the show, which puts on YouTube, I find my buddy and we go run off, trip, boom, face plant myself on the stage.
Oh gosh.
In front of a full audience. That's embarrassing. And I really grazed my knee. And it really hurt.
It hurts, yeah.
And then
it's worse when you have an accident on stage as well, I think. It feels like you're so, probably because your adrenaline's pumping through your body a lot.
Yes, and because as performers, we just focus on the worst things. Be like, oh, that went wrong, so everyone knows it went wrong. And then the final one, the tale of when I shot poppers. Accidentally.
So many questions. By shot, you mean as in drinking shot?
As in, took an actual shot of poppers and drank a bottle completely by accident.
By accident.
If you didn't hear, our producer literally just went, oh. It's a lot.
Yeah, I'm on Sang's side.
So I was a student in Newcastle at the time, and I was talking to a friend in a club. If you're a Newcastle listener, you'll know the club Switch. I know it very well. I spent many Monday night there. Talking to a friend like I'm talking to the camera or this, that, and the other. So someone right in front of me. Someone comes up to me with what looks like a shot glass in the side of my eye. I'm like, oh, you got me a shot. That's really nice. While I'm carrying on this conversation, take the bottle, neck it. And they're like, what the hell have you done? I was like, what? You got me a shot? They're like, no, I was offering you poppers. And I was like, the burn down my throat, down my esophagus, down into my stomach. It was like on fire. The person that offered it, I just spat. Oh, gross. Not in the fun way. The person that offered it to me was just like, oh my God, I've killed James. I've killed James. And I do not know how I survived to that day.
No, because that's chemicals. How, I don't know. I've never really done it. So I can't remember what it's like to touch, but it's not. How caustic is it? How kind of chemically is it? I don't have a bottle to check right now to double check. Sorry. Don't try this at home. Obviously,
please do not. Please do not. So that was I think probably out of my 29 years of life, out of the huge array of stories I've just told, that's probably my most embarrassing one, because I could have died.
Yes, definitely. I've known you for about 4 months now, and I'm pretty sure you've done worse things in those 4 months. But
well, I'm gonna say today.
That is pretty hardcore. I can't top that.
There are a few things you can't top.
And especially you, because I don't give to charity.
More than once a year. So to finish up,
yes,
Bunny, if you were an inanimate object in the Beast Castle today, what would you be and why?
Today, I would definitely be a lovely, ornate pair of curtains, because I always pull open quite easily.
Producer, what would yours be?
Sorry, can you ask me that one more time, please?
What would, if you were an inanimate object in the Beast's castle in Beauty and the Beast, what would you be and why?
I think I'd be the glass that covers the rose, because I'm.
He's going to be the glass that covers the rose because he's transparent.
Hey!
And for me, to round it off, I would be the mug.
You've ascended from doormat to mug. Wow.
There's a running theme here. Me and my therapist are working on my self-worth. Okay, come on. Give me time.
That poor person. Oh my goodness.
I know they could retire off me soon. Literally.
I'm going to make them a gold star.
They need more than that.
Well, darling, that was a lot of fun today. Thanks so much. I hope the listeners have got some embarrassing stories they can send to us. You can email us at
burningthebeast69@gmail.com. burningthebeast69@gmail.com.
And from me, Bunny Galore, the Queen of the Cult Movies. Until next time, I'll see you soon.